You are listening to the Be a Better Being podcast, hosted by the founder of Better Beings, Michelle Zellner. Michelle's experiences have equipped her with knowledge and perspective, and for nearly 3 decades, she has been informing, influencing, and inspiring thousands on their journeys. This show spotlights guests of diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise, but they all align with Michelle's purpose and passion to help you be a better human being. There is something for everyone on their way to a healthier, happier life. Enjoy the show.
Greetings. Thank you for tuning in to the Be a Better Being podcast. This is episode 146, being released on October 13th. And if you know anything about October, you're probably familiar that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I have my friend Laura Hagen joining us today. She's a nurse with 30 years of medical experience. Her passion is health and wellness with degrees in nursing and health science. But not only is she a nurse, she is a patient as well and a breast cancer survivor. And today's conversation is hopefully going to inspire somebody to pay attention, to know the signs, and I think even if we happen to get that diagnosis, to understand and know that there's a path forward. You're going to be okay. Laura's here as living proof of it. So Laura, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm a nurse and I have my degree in wellness and then also in nursing, and I live my life according to those principles for the most part. Of course, I have my 20% or more sometimes splurging and doing different things, but I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't do drugs, and I try to eat healthy and manage my stress and exercise. And so I thought I was in the clear. But yeah, health and wellness is definitely a passion of mine. And that's how I met Michelle, because I did one of her Better Beings workshops, and I did it twice, actually.
Yeah, through Denver Public Schools, right? You Revolution. Yeah. Right there for those of you
Revolution.
looking on.
It was amazing and very inspiring. So yeah, and I'm an elementary school nurse, so I love to teach the kids about their bodies and their wellness and kind of empower them to take care of themselves.
So you're going through life, right? And I assume because you're a nurse, you're doing your mammograms, your self-checks, right? Staying on top of screenings.
You'd assume so, but like a lot of women, I have dense breast tissue, and it can get discouraging doing self-exams, which I hear from a lot of women now, because what we learn going to the OBG and our family practitioner over the years is to feel for a pencil and eraser, like a little tiny, and it all feels like that when you have dense breast tissue. So it gets a little discouraging. But so I wasn't doing my monthly self-exams. And actually, I'd had 12 years of good mammograms. And my doctor at the time said that I could skip a year, that the guidelines had changed, because after you have so many good years, you can go every other year. And I was busy that year. And I thought, well, that'll be nice not to go. And of course, that was the year. But what I found out later is that the guidelines don't say to skip if you have dense breast tissue. And that, as with dense breast tissue, the recommendation now is ultrasounds and not just mammograms, or instead of mammograms. So
I think that's a really important key to highlight, because, not all doctors, medical providers are going to suggest, hey, you should get that ultrasound, or you should have the 3D imaging. So I always think it's up to women, everybody, but women, to understand their bodies, to understand what options are out there, to do your due diligence, to be curious, to explore, to ask questions. And so, yeah, having these other options than your standard mammogram is something that's been available for many years, but most people don't know about it. And to that point, really important to know that the guidelines are different for someone who has dense tissue versus not dense tissue. So if anybody listening is out there and you are like Laura and have had, the clear screenings, but you have dense tissue, you don't get to skip a year.
No, no, you don't get to skip a year. And the inconvenience of skipping that year has caused pretty much a year of treatment for me. I had 6 months of chemo, 6 weeks of radiation, a double mastectomy, and I have another procedure I have to do. So it was, talk about inconvenience. I'll tell you that mammogram would have been a lot less inconvenient.
Right. So let's go to, okay, we skipped the year, but now we're back on track. We're getting our mammogram, and just kind of talk us through that process and what the, the readout diagnostic was.
I actually discovered my tumor because I was talking to my husband and my wrists went by my breasts and I felt the tumor and I just stopped mid-sentence and said, oh my gosh, it's a lump. And he came over and we both went, oh my gosh. And he said, well, how could you miss that? And I was, well, how could you miss it? Because, but it was the size of a plum. It was pretty big. And had I known my body, my landscape, I would have noticed it. I might not have noticed a little tiny lump like a eraser tip, but I would have noticed that. And I would have noticed it growing from a size of a cherry tomato before it became the size of a plum. And maybe could have, there's a lot of guilt that comes with a cancer diagnosis, and there's a lot of mystery around it. Well, what caused it? What happened? And you rack your brain and you feel like you're not as healthy as you think you are, and that you did something along the way that you screwed up your body. So I spent this last year really thinking about what I need to learn and to make it so other women don't get breast cancer, and empower them to learn their bodies and their landscape of how everything feels.
So you notice this, and then you call the doctor, get a mammogram. Walk us kind of through that.
It was a Friday night, and I remember my husband was like, well, we need to go to the emergency room. And I said, I don't think this is something you go to the emergency room for. We need to, get a mammogram. And so I immediately called, and they couldn't get me in for a couple weeks. And you have the sense of urgency, and then the doctor couldn't see me right away. And it was a lot of phone calls and then calling every day to try to get in sooner. And I went in for a mammogram, and then they took me into another room and said, well, we need to do an ultrasound. And I knew when I was there for a very long time, and the lady kept leaving and coming back, and that it wasn't good. And then I got the biopsy and it came back positive. So it was a whirlwind, and I was in shock. It was a month before I got into treatment. So you really want to get it out of your body, but like the oncologist told me, it's been there a while. It's not growing that fast that it wasn't in my organs or something where they needed to get it out so that I could function. The good news about having breast cancer is that it's very survivable and preventable. It has a very high or good prognosis compared to other forms of cancer. That was my thing I cling to when I found out I had it.
Well, I think that's such an important point, a couple of them. One, getting that diagnosis is always a shock. Nobody ever wants to hear the C word. Ever. No. As somebody who has had the C word told to her, cancer's no fun no matter what it is. I can relate to this idea of just get it out of me because it's right. And yet to that point, it's not like overrunning your body on like a daily, timetable, right? So during that leg time, how you stay positive, how you stay from keeping your mind going to all the worst places, what were some things that you did in that leg time during that time of uncertainty, during the time of waiting, to keep you in that positive mindset? I know knowing that there's a very high, recovery rate and all the things is one thing, but that's still kind of just a concept, right? In your day to day, what did that look like in terms of your mindset and kind of staying in that present moment?
I did a lot of yoga and meditation and connecting with friends, and I'm a planner just like you. And I started to put a plan together, but it didn't have a lot of answers as far as, well, how long. I thought I would be completely incapacitated while I was going through chemo. You see these movies and we all know people that have, well, at least at this rate of how much cancer is in our country, know people that have gone through chemo that are really, really sick. That was my vision, that I was going to need people to take care of me. And I have taken care of myself since I was a little girl. So my mom had a stroke when I was 10 and she was disabled. My dad had died when I was 9, and I just always took care of myself. And the hardest part for me to think about was somebody else taking care of me or my family. It took a while, and I had some good friends kind of coach me through that, giving up that ego and letting people care for you and putting it out there, which was a pride thing for me to say, hey, I have this diagnosis, and asking for help because I didn't know what was ahead of me. And people came through. I never felt loved so much in my life or ever until that time when people started to sign up for Meal Train and people were calling and making sure I was okay and doing things. And that really kept me on a positive note.
Well, and that just highlights something I talk about on this show all the time, is our need for our support network, right? That we are pack animals designed to do life as a pack, and giving up that ego, that pride, and being vulnerable and recognizing I don't know what's ahead and there's a good chance I am going to need help, and putting it out there and allowing people to help you. So I can imagine, and appreciate how challenging that can be, because it is the unknown. Now, I gather, kind of based on what you said, that it turned out that you weren't incapacitated, right? You actually went through it pretty well. And I know this because I saw you, and we got together a few times, or a time or two, and we chatted. But I mean, now, okay, so we're going to get it removed, and it's this advanced stage, and we have to have a double mastectomy. And like, how do we navigate all of that? And knowing how this is a stage process, right? I'm sure you wanted to just fast forward to the finish line and like be done, but it is a long and arduous process, even though you have help and you have the resources and you have the mental fortitude to get through it. It's still, it's a year of your life, right? Of disruption and uncertainty and all the things. So kind of walk us through the process from that day until like kind of where you are now. And I think you said you have another treatment too, right?
Yes. So it was I took it as an opportunity to get to know myself, to spend time with friends, to grow as a person, because I mean, the other choice is not an option, to wallow in self-pity. And I mean, I have my moments. I grew up in California, and I have based my identity on looks for a long time, and I was going to lose my hair. And then I gained almost 25 pounds during chemo, because nowadays they pre-treat you with steroids to offset the side effects of the chemo, and you get really hungry. And then I had all these people bringing me delicious food over, including your homemade peanut butter or nut butter. And so I had to really die to that image of it being about looks, or it just accepting myself for the beauty from the inside, and having my identity on other things. So yeah, and I got to the point where, I mean, I even posted pictures of me bald on social media. And even though I looked at it, I thought, oh my God, I look fat and I look ugly. I just instantly was like, no, you don't. You have a message. It's a beautiful message, and you're a person, and you still smile. And I don't look at other people like that. So why should I look at myself like that? If somebody was
Yeah, I
going through
mean,
this.
I imagine it's something as, as women, right? Breasts and hair, like those are like two things that I would say most women think of like as
Yes.
how we identify as feminine. And you're going to lose both of those things. Like,
And gain
right?
25 pounds.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So, and that's why I wanted to have you on this show, because I know your spirit, your attitude, like you said, the other alternative is not an option. Right.
Mm-mm.
And of course, you're going to have your moments, your days, your weeks of it's not fair. Why me? What did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? And yet here we are. Ultimately, it matters. It doesn't matter. Here I am. Now, what can I do going forward? And we all know you get to choose your attitude. And
Yes.
so your attitude was, well, let's see what we can do. So in that year of growth and learning about yourself and discovery, what other things did you do to fill your time? Because you worked full time as a school nurse, and did you take a leave of absence from work?
I
Did you
did.
continue
I
to try to
took
work?
almost a year off, and thank you, Denver Public Schools, for supporting me. They have wonderful benefits, and I was able to do that. And then in Colorado, we have, thanks to our governor, we have another program called Family, which also gives you 12 weeks of support if you're going through a medical crisis, and that's state by state. And my husband is very supportive as well. So I was very thankful to be able to still provide for myself and my family during that time. But I wanted to touch back on something you said, having bad days and months and weeks. And I wouldn't allow myself to have, like, if I had a bad moment, I would let it be a moment. I often hear people say, oh, I'm having a bad day. And they make that decision that the day just started and it's going to be, the whole rest of the day is going to be bad. And we don't have to buy into that. We can make it be a moment and say, okay, now the rest of the day is going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't let them be that. And plus I felt okay, during chemo. It really was not that bad. I was tired. I didn't like being tired and laying around feeling the mind plays tricks on you, because we're so used to go, go, go and being productive and not being productive. I was telling and knowing your thoughts too, identifying, I'm telling myself I'm lazy. I'm telling myself these things, but I'm going through treatment. It's okay. And just having grace for myself. We have grace for everybody, but having grace for ourselves is something that is a really hard concept, especially for women. We want to take care of everybody. We need to do things. We need to be productive, but the house doesn't need to be clean. It doesn't need to be that clean. And you don't need to always be working on a project. But I did start my master's program during that time just to get my mind off of cancer, which was helpful. And that was something that motivated me to think about something else.
Well, and that's such a great point, right? That if we don't have anything to fill the void, our mind is going to fill that void with a lot of the thoughts, the self-pity, the woe is me, the fear, right? All the things. And so I love that you took that opportunity to do that personal and professional growth with, advancing your education and, maybe that's not the path someone wants to take, but maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's learn a language. I think keeping your brain engaged, because as you mentioned a little earlier, chemo brain, right? Like just keeping your brain engaged and stimulating it and doing what you can, but also recognizing that you are healing and you are recovering. And it can be tricky because I felt that too. I feel fine. It seems like I should be doing something, and it is a hard thing sometimes to hold back from that. Yes. Recognizing that you might feel fine, but your body inside is doing a lot of hard work, and it would just probably prefer if you let it rest so it can do its hard work.
Well, and you feel fine. And so then you say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then you get up and and then you don't feel good. So then you lay back down and you say, okay, I'm fine. I need to power through. And then you don't feel good. Like your mind is going there saying you need to be doing this, but then your body is not cooperating. So it's about listening to your body and resting when you need to.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Totally. Yeah. And so you get through the chemo treatment, you have the double mastectomy surgeries.
Yes.
Gosh, I feel like that would be a painful recovery.
It's still painful. It hurts. They put these temporary boobs, I call them, because if you have radiation after they do that, then the radiation will ruin whatever they put in. So they put these temporary ones, which are not comfortable, and they're still in. And so my next procedure will be taking those out and putting the other ones in.
I have a question for you, and you may or may not know this, but I had a friend recently who had a relative who had they said it was a early stage 1 DCIS.
Yes.
And their recommended treatment was a double mastectomy.
Well,
and I
they
thought
give you a choice.
That was extreme.
They give you a choice, and most doctors will recommend the double mastectomy because they get rid of all the breast tissue, so you never have to do another mammogram.
I guess my question though is, from everything that I've learned, DCIS stage 1 is relatively easy to treat and move on and be safe. Like the risk of recurrence is very, 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 very slim.
But it's a choice they give you. You could have a lumpectomy or you could have a double mastectomy. If you get a lumpectomy, you're going to have one breast removed and the other one will be your natural breast, but they'll be lopsided the rest of your life. So
is that a choice that they offer no matter what stage of breast cancer, no matter where the cancer within your breast is located? That's an option that they offer?
I'm not 100% sure, but I do know a lot of women that get that choice to do, and they opt for the double. You could do a lumpectomy or a double mastectomy, even at stage 1. And I'm glad we have that choice.
Yeah. No, I was just surprised that is a choice, right, at such an early stage of that. So yeah, no, I think people hear double mastectomy and they think, oh my gosh, the cancer must be in both breasts. It must be so bad that we have to get rid of all of it. So I think when people hear maybe of a friend or a relative or someone having a double mastectomy, at least it put my mind in like, wow, that cancer must have been very, very aggressive and spread because we got to get rid of all of it. So It's good to know that, no, it's an option even when it's a very early stage. So
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my understanding. So, and I have a lot of friends and I've read a lot about it. So of course a specialist would be better to answer that question as far as, but I have a friend that just got diagnosed with 1A and she's having a double mastectomy. I told her, I said, there's a law, because I found this out later. I said, well, are they going to leave me without breasts, or am I going to be, because you think, well, it's plastic surgery. Why would insurance pay for that? But the women that have come before us that have had breast cancer fought for this. Yeah. And it makes me emotional to think that they made it a law, that they have to make you whole.
They have to make you whole.
And that includes like the way that your body looks and the way, it's part of the recovery. It's part of it. So it is covered, and it's something that it's not a vanity thing. It's just bringing you back a sense of normalcy. So I'm glad that we have that privilege in a way. It doesn't feel like a privilege at the time. It hurts, and it still hurts. And I had it done 4 or 5 months ago, and my upper body strength is not as good as it used to be, and I've lost a lot of muscle tone, which you've taught me over the years to try to get. And I'm slowly working. I'm back in the gym. I'm working on building my muscle back, but it's painful. It hurts. But as one of my yoga instructors used to say, there's a difference between pain and discomfort, and just knowing that so that you can not push yourself too much that you're causing damage, but you're building muscle.
Well, and certainly for someone who's had that procedure, and when you get the real deal put back in or put in, those are going to be things that as you exercise are going to need to be taken into consideration and account, right? That Perhaps you were used to doing things at a certain impact or a level or a degree or intensity. Maybe even certain exercises are maybe not the best idea simply because of these things. So I think those are also things that people need to really contemplate and be cognizant of, because you probably just want to jump right back into doing all the things you used to do in the way you used to do them.
I did. And I learned the hard way. I'm a 15-year yogi. Like, I did hardcore yoga, core power, like the really intense yoga, and I loved it. It fed my soul. It made my body feel good. And I really can't do that much yoga right now because it's a lot of stretching at upper body, and it hurts too much. So now I joined a gym and I do more bar and Pilates, and I'm started pickleball just to stay active and I'm working out in the gym area, which always intimidated me, but just trying to know my body and what my limits are.
I mean, it's another opportunity to explore new things and learn how to move your body in different ways. So yeah. And I think, Laura, this is always one of the things I appreciated about you. Instead of saying, oh, well, I can't do the thing I love, so I guess I can't do anything. Right. And that's what a lot of people shift into, that mindset. I can't do it the way I used to do it, so I can't do it. I can't do anything. And instead you're like, okay, well, let me see what I can do. And let me figure out what that new normal, or however you want to phrase it, what is that going to look like going forward, given the reality that I now currently exist with, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's fun to learn new things. And I again have grace for myself, because I might not go back to what I was before. And then and I'm getting older, and it's just the fact of life. I heard this one guy, he's so funny. He does these reels, and he said, and this helped me to think too about looks and everything. He said, you can either look your age or you can look weird, because people know you're not 20 anymore. So it's just about accepting, like, the wrinkles and the hair and the whatever, the gray and everything. It's you can try to go back to being 20 and keep having your mind identify with that, but you're not there anymore. And the sooner you come to accept yourself for where you are, the better your life will be, the more joyous, and the more you can love the people in your life.
Such an important message. And I know one that most of us struggle with, right? Because you see things in the mirror and you're like, really? Because I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
What I'm feeling or what I'm seeing is not matching up in some way. But yeah, I think at some point, you do the best you can to be as healthy and happy as you want to be. And then understand that there is something about aging that is actually really beautiful as well.
Exactly.
So we have one more procedure, and then, I mean, to your point, right? Like, breast cancer free, no more mammograms in your life. Like, that's kind of got to be a nice little, like, okay,
Yes, that's a perk. No more mammograms. If you don't have breast tissue, you don't have to have mammograms. And now I'm really advocating to send the message for women to do their self-exams and to do their mammograms. And something I thought of was incentivizing people. And so I post on social media every month to do your self-exams, and I do a raffle for people that tell me they have, and give them a gift card. And it's like, your health insurance will give you money sometimes to do your annual physical. So I kind of think, well, we need incentives to do our annual mammogram and our monthly self-exam. So,
I love that. Paying it forward, being a positive voice to spread the message. So yeah, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this is something you say about all of the awarenesses, right? We're aware, but what are we doing about it, right? You have to actually do. You can't just be aware. You have to then choose to do. So it is lifestyle, right? I mean, everything we have, there's a genetic component and there's a lifestyle component. And sometimes genetics and lifestyle clash. And boom, here you go. Just like when I think about my melanoma, I did genetic health profiling. I have genetically a 68% increased risk for melanoma. And then I think about, well, what did I do? Oh, I grew up baking in baby oil to get as dark and tan as you possibly could. I went to school in Hawaii, and did I care about sunblock? I might have rubbed some SPF 4 on, right? Call it because, sunblock, right? Call it good. And then I moved to Colorado, and sure, I put SPF on my face, and I might put some, but I like to lay at the pool. I like to be outside. I like to do all the things. So my genetics and my lifestyle is what gets you melanoma, right?
Right.
Could I go back and reverse all the things I did? No, I don't get to do that. You don't get to rewind and start over because now you know better. But what can I do going forward to prevent reoccurrence? Well, I minimize my exposure to the sun. I go to my dermatologist. I go to my oncologist so that if something is suspicious, we take care of it sooner rather than later. Right. So in the last maybe few minutes that we have, maybe like 3 top tips that you would give women who maybe are a little bit squishy, wishy-washy with their lifestyle or with going for their checkups. What would you say from the nurse and the patient? What are some maybe 3 top tips?
I would say self-care is more important than anything, your health. And as women, we want to take care of everybody else, but we really need to prioritize getting those annual checks, getting your colonoscopy when you turn, is it 40 or 50? Just knowing your body, educate yourself on things. Something I've become passionate about is the hormone replacement therapy, because I learned that 70 to 80% of breast cancer is estrogen receptor positive. And so I know when we get to menopause, we want relief, but I really learn about the differences because there's a 75 to 135% variance in when you get the compounded medication or that isn't FDA approved. And so just like with the sun, if you get too much of something, it can cause a spiral and an overgrowth, which is what cancer is. So just know your body, talk to your doctor, and not a doctor that's getting kickbacks by selling you something that like hormones, somebody that can write a prescription that's not getting paid for that prescription. And then just educate other people. Us women, we like to talk, so encourage each other to, it's the first of the month, do your breast exam, just spread the word, keeping up with those things and leading a healthy lifestyle, which Michelle's great at educating you about. There's so many things to cover there. I got this new app, Yucca, which I'm sure you've heard of, which you scan products and holy Toledo, I never knew so much, additives, preservatives, and all the packaged foods that we eat. Just trying to keep it pure and simple. Less ingredients, the better. Yeah,
I love that. We're going to put your contact info, if it's okay, to your Facebook page. So if anybody wants to get in on I did the self-check raffle drawing.
For a drawing.
Yes, exactly. And I know you're out there being a voice, so we'll make sure people have the way to connect and kind of see what's going on in the next phase of your journey as well. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you, Michelle.
I know it's going to inspire some people and definitely have people maybe think about it in a little more serious way. Or if they get that diagnosis, to also have a sense of peace. And you know what? It is going to be okay. It is. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. Like, that's the thing. So
exactly.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And listeners, here we are, October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Go be aware and then do something as well. And I would say just go be a better being.
Check your boobies.
Check your boobies.
Thank you for listening to the Be a Better Being podcast. We hope that what you heard today inspires you to embrace this journey of life with an open mind, a kind heart, and a willingness to learn and evolve. If you have a show topic idea or would like to be a guest, please visit betterbeings.net and fill out a contact form. Until next time, go and be a better being.